Feeling lucky? Then you may want to enter the annual diversity visa lottery so that you could win your chance and your family a chance at permanent residency in the United States. Starting October 1st each year, which is the beginning of the new fiscal year, between 50,000 and 55,000 immigrant visas are issued to persons from underrepresented countries in a lottery system. Which countries are underrepresented countries is recalculated every year, and it's based on the statistics from the prior 5 years. So if the country has had fewer than 50,000 permanent immigrants to the United States in the last 5 years, then that country is considered an underrepresented country and is eligible to enter the visa lottery. So if this is something that interests you, let's talk about what you need in order to qualify for the diversity visa lottery. First, you need to be born in an underrepresented country. If you are not born in an underrepresented country, you may still be able to qualify depending on your relationship to your spouse and your parents. If you are married and your spouse was born in an underrepresented country, then you can claim your spouse's country of birth as your own for purposes of qualifying for the diversity visa lottery. To benefit through your parents, if neither of your parents were born in your country of birth and neither were residents of that country of birth at the time that you were born, then if one of them is from an underrepresented country, you can claim that country for yourself for purposes of the diversity visa lottery. Let's say, for example, you were born in the UK, but your parents were born in Israel and did not reside in the UK at the time that you were born. So for example, maybe your parents were there on a work permit at the time that you were born in the UK. So in that situation, you would be able to claim Israel as the country for the diversity visa lottery as opposed to the UK. Aside from the place of birth, you also have to meet a minimum level of either education or experience. So to establish the minimum level of education, you have to show that you have the equivalent of a high school diploma. So that means formal education from 1 through 12th grade or its equivalent. If you don't have the necessary high school diploma, that's okay, because instead you can show that you have the necessary amount of experience in order to qualify. So to show that, you have to be able to show that in the last 5 years, you have at least 2 years experience of a field that traditionally requires at least 2 years of experience. So to find out whether or not your job is one that traditionally requires at least 2 years of experience in order to perform the job, then you need to go to the ONET library and search your job under there. From that library, you can scroll down and see what the SVP rating is. In order to qualify based on experience, you have to show that the SVP rating is 7.0 or higher. Now that you have determined that you qualify, it's time to actually apply for the diversity visa lottery. To do this, you have to create an account online and register online. There's a few different parts to this process, and we're gonna break it down one by one. To register for the diversity visa lottery, it will typically open that first week of October and continue for about a month into November. So during that period of time, you have to complete your registration and you have to do it correctly. If it's not correct, then your application is going to get rejected. Right there, you're not even gonna have a chance at winning the lottery. And you need to do it early on because millions of people apply for this option, and so there can be system delays later on. So it's better to try and get it done early on so that you avoid any delays that may be caused from late registration. Now, I realize that when you actually enter a lottery, buying lots of tickets can improve your chances of winning. However, in this situation, you only want to apply for yourself one time. Immigration does run system checks on this, and if they find duplicate entries, then all of your entries are going to be disqualified. That said, they do clarify on their website that spouses can each enter. In other words, if you and your husband both apply, then you can file for your own application. And if you win, then he can ride with you, and he can file for his own application. And if he wins, then you can ride on his winning ticket as well. Once you've completed your registration, you're going to get a confirmation number. Now make sure that that confirmation number is saved somewhere very special that you will remember and you're not gonna forget about it several months down the line, because you do have to wait several months before you find out whether or not you were selected in the lottery. And the only way to find out if you were selected is to use that confirmation number and put it on the online to see if it was selected. More people are selected in the lottery initially than there are available visas. The reason for that is that immigration assumes that some people that are selected are not going to want that visa anymore, or maybe they can't use it anymore, or maybe they're going to be disqualified ultimately for some reason. So they end up selecting many thousand more than are actually eligible to get the visa. Because of that, if you are selected, go ahead and fill out the rest of the required applications as soon as possible to hold your place in line. Because there are so many additional people that are selected than there are visas, it's good not to make any concrete plans about your travel to the United States or maybe selling any property in your home country until you actually have that visa, because it's still going to be quite a while before you get to the point where you are interviewed and can actually be issued that visa. So if you are selected in the visa lottery, congratulations. Now is the time to get that hard work done. You need to get together all of the required documents and you need to get them submitted and all of the application forms correctly filled out and uploaded online. There's a list of the required documents online on the government website. I'm going to link to it below so that you can actually go through it line by line to make sure that you can get all of the required documents. Some of those include having a passport that's valid for at least 6 months from the time that that visa is issued and you plan to enter the United States, as well as a criminal background check, as well as one of the bigger one for a lot of people, and that is the financial support. When you enter the United States on this visa, you have to be able to prove that you're not going to be a public charge in the United States. In other words, that you have enough money to support yourself in the United States, or that you have friends or family members that are willing to be that financial support for you. So there are suggestions online in order to determine what you actually need to prove that, but some things might include bank statements, proof of property and valuations or appraisals of that property. And if you don't have enough on your own, then having that joint sponsor and having them submit similar documents. And if they are in the United States, then having them submit tax returns and proof of their citizenship or residency. Once immigration has said that you've submitted all the required documents and they've been accepted, then you are in line waiting to find out if you are going to get called for an interview. And you need to continue to check your status online using that confirmation number to see whether or not you've been set for an interview and when that interview is going to be. If you're called in for an interview, this is your chance to get a visa. So you need to make sure that you have all of the required documents in hand with you on that day. So anything that was submitted online, you need to have the original version of that with you, as well as any original signature pages that were submitted with the application. When you go to the interview, you need to make sure that all of the people that are actually planning to get a visa are there at the interview with you. So the persons that qualify are obviously you, the applicant, your spouse, and any children that are unmarried and under 21 years of age. Those persons can all be writers on your own application for an immigrant visa. It is so important that when you go to this interview that you have everything that you need so that your case does not get put in administrative processing. One of the reasons for this is because you have a very strict timeline during which this visa has to be issued. The visa can only be issued during the fiscal year in which that visa lottery number has been granted or has been available to you. And so if you don't actually get that visa before the fiscal year ends on September 30th, then you're not gonna get that visa. So you want to make it as easy as possible for immigration to approve your case as it can be. So the timing of this can be a little bit tricky to understand. So let's take an example of the 2025 Diversity Visa Lottery. So what that 2025 refers to is the fiscal year for 2025, which runs from October 1st, 2024 until September 30th, 2025. So if you want to register to enter that lottery, you actually do that in the year 2023. And that lottery is going to open up for registration sometime in that first week of October of the new fiscal year in 2023. And then once you've entered during that period of time, you're actually not going to find out whether or not you were selected in the lottery until the following year in 2024. Now in 2024, if you find out that you've been selected, then you're going to start going through the process of gathering all of the required documents and sending in the forms. Once you've done that, you still can't do anything until the interview is set in the new fiscal year, which is going to be October 1st of 2024, when those visas can finally be issued. And so that will run until the next year, September 30th, 2025, which is a hard deadline in which all visas that will be issued have to be issued by that date. To give you an idea of just how popular this lottery is, in the 2024 fiscal year, the government received more than 22 million qualified entries for persons that were trying to win the lottery. With fewer than 55,000 visas issued each year, that is less than a 1% chance. That's less than 0.25% of a chance at winning the lottery. That said, if you don't have any other options to come and live permanently in the United States, this can be a really great option for you.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Thanks for joining us here. I hope you found this information helpful. If you did, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And if you do enter the lottery and you win it, don't forget to let us know. We'll see you next time.